guys, this is Pastor Jimmy, and I'm here with
Pastor Mark.
And you are joining us in the lobby. So glad that you guys are here. We've been kind of tossing different things around and what we're going to talk about tonight within the lobby, and I think we decided to go with what we were going to talk about last week, but God kind of changed that at that moment. So we're going to talk about expectations.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Expectations.
It doesn't sound exciting. It doesn't. It really doesn't. But it is exciting because it is a principle that I think all of us need to learn. If I would have known this, I wouldn't have made half the mistakes I made in my little journey so far in life. This is a big principle, too, if you have a family or you're a leader of a family or you're a mom in a family, single mom. This is a big principle that has to do with family, too. So stay tuned. I think you guys are going to enjoy this, and I think you're going to get something out of it.
I was just thinking about it. You're talking about it wasn't that exciting. Maybe, just think about it. Pray about it. Maybe what we do at the very beginning of In the Lobby, we say we're going to talk about something exciting, or we make it sound exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe something like remember that what was that old newspaper, Inquirer, that they used to have it, like you go into Publix and it's sitting there and it's like all these headlines Bill Clinton marries an alien or something like that.
Yeah, that was true.
So maybe we should do something like that. Like something like, I got it. If we say, hey guys, join us in the lobby. We found this interesting fact about our producer, Brandon.
That's right.
But you got to stay till the end to hear it. People would be tuning in left and right.
Listen, we are just now kind of starting this podcast, but really, deep down inside, we are investigative journalists. So we bring you the facts. Not only do we investigate Scripture and look at all sides and what everybody's saying, what the Reformed side's saying, what the Protestant side's saying, what the Catholic side is saying, what all these different camps are saying.
Sounds so exciting.
What all these different camps are saying, but we bring it to you, the latest and greatest with what's going on in the church family today. Wake up, Pastor Jimmy. Wake up. But anyhow, we go out in the field and we investigate for you guys because we love you guys.
Yeah, the other day.
I'm going to do my Ric Flair woo. Can I do it one time?
Yeah, you do it.
Woo! All right, there we go.
So the other day, just to show you how much I love you, the other day, Barbara Walters called. And she was and she was like.
You turn her down because I don't like her.
Yeah, she was like, Pastor Jimmy, will you just tell me an amount and I'll write you guys a check. I'll write Fairlawn Church a check. Just replace me with Pastor Mark. And I was like, I can't do that. Yeah. He's very sensitive. His feelings will be hurt, and it will crush him, Barbara.
Yeah.
I call her Barb for short, sometimes B.
Right.
So,
I got the same
turned her
phone
down.
call from Howard Stern for you.
Yeah.
And I turned him down, although he is Jewish. And I felt like that would kind of I don't know, maybe bring Jesus more into the picture. He was a Jewish man. You know that, right?
Jesus was?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So are you trying to say that Howard Stern is Jesus? Is that what you're saying right here?
No.
Okay.
No, not that at all.
All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure, just clarifying that.
No.
I don't want anybody to
Nope.
get that conclusion. That's what you're saying.
Nope.
All right. So, expectations. What do you got about expectations? Anything?
Expectations. Well, I'll tell you what. I have ruined a lot of things in my life because of expectations. A lot of things that I thought I was supposed to do because I had these pre-incarnate expectations of what it was supposed to look like, how it was supposed to turn out. And if it didn't look like that going into it, well, then I tried everything to make it look like that. And that goes from church plants scaled back into just buying a home into raising kids, having a wife and making decisions with a wife, and general decisions, household decisions, and it's all blown up in my face, all because at that time I was just really too ignorant to understand expectations, my own expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about some different stories about where we've had expectations and how it's kind of blowing up in our face at times, and then when it's good to have expectations and not to have expectations. So, Pastor Mark, can you think of any times where, like, a good story, not one of your normal boring stories,
Okay.
but a good one, interesting one, where expectations kind of got you in trouble?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I remember I had moved to the mountains, and here I'm Florida born and raised. And I moved to the mountains, and a house came available. And it would be the first time I'd ever purchased a home. I never purchased one here in Florida growing up. I always rented apartments until I went into the ministry. And I rented all the way through school. I rented my whole entire life, and I waited until we got married. Me and Heather got married, and we were living in a home, actually renting a home, and we wanted to purchase this home. And to me, I thought that this was the home that God had preordained for us. This was the home that we were going to live in while we were there doing ministry in the mountains. And it was everything that I kind of thought that a mountain home should look like. And it was just everything that in my construction background, I wanted to just add different things to this home, and it would have been easy to do so. And so for a solid year, we tried to buy this home. For one solid year, and they kept sending back the paperwork and saying, no, we need another copy of this. And then we would send it to them and say, oh, well, we need another copy of this. And this lasted for a solid year. But during that year, a buddy of mine called me and said, hey, my mom and dad about a mile away from you are selling their house, and you should really go by and just take a look at it. I said, no, we're invested in this one. This is everything that we would want. And so I think we're happy where we're at. And so the more and more I started thinking about it, and the more and more, well, what would it hurt just to go by and look and see what it is they have to offer? So one day, me and Heather just picked up and went over there and absolutely fell in love with a friend of mine's mom and dad's house. It was gorgeous. It had a 4-car barn on the property. It had a river that ran through the property. Apple trees. It was just absolutely gorgeous. The house was set up really high in case it did flood from the river that ran through the backyard. Gorgeous piece of property, and it was actually $60,000 cheaper than what we were fixing to try, that we've been trying to purchase.
Wow.
And we could not believe it. In our hearts, we just felt like this was where we were supposed to be. I mean, the minute we walked in, me and Heather both just knew that this was the house we were supposed to have. And we were looking at one another going, did we miss this? Did we blow this? I mean, my expectations were that this was it. This is the place I was supposed to be. And that's when I really started. That was my first encounter with my expectations of what I thought something should look like. And that's when the Lord really opened the door and really started to talk to me about expectations and how deadly they can be at that point. And we applied for the other house, and we got it within a month when the other one was still in deliberation after a year.
Wow.
We got it within a month.
Yeah.
And we just knew that was God opening that door, and that's the home where we were supposed to be and raise our kids, and we did the whole time we were there.
But you almost missed it because of the expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
wasn't God's best for us. It was my best and what it should look like.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, I can see that. And I mean, I was thinking about it when we started this. And I could fill this whole thing up with telling stories about where I've just kind of missed it or blown it with my expectations, and or were times where God totally exceeded my expectations and just things like that. But one of them just a couple weeks ago, when you weren't here, Julie joined me for In the Lobby, and just some of the expectations which we talked about, just marriage and the ministry and things like this. And I don't know why I still do this, because anytime you give, and you know because you've been around her, anytime you give Julie a microphone, like she usually don't. She'll first say no, and then like you insist. But you got to be ready if you're going to give Julie a microphone, because you never know what she's going to say, and
Right.
she's just going to be her regardless. It's not. I can't do like you and just hand her a script and say read this, But she's going to. And I remember one of the questions that I asked her just a couple weeks ago was just how do you deal with being a pastor's wife, and just how did you get through that, and her answer was, I don't want to be a pastor's wife. And I definitely was not expecting her to say that. I don't know, maybe I thought that she would just give this vanilla answer out there, and she goes on to explain it. And if you guys haven't watched it, you can go back and watch it from a couple weeks ago, and turned out to be a really good podcast, and she explained how she feels and why she feels this. And so there's more to it than just saying, I don't want to be a pastor's wife. I mean, she goes into detail. So
I cut it off after the point where she was like disgusted by how you forced her to marry you.
Yeah.
And how she just
deal
really
with it
couldn't
anymore.
stand the way you looked half the time, and now God's made it better.
Yeah, just how I look in general.
In
like my
general,
appearance.
yes,
Yeah.
just distasteful to her, right? So I cut it off after that, because my loyalty to you, I just
Yeah, you
didn't
couldn't
really.
deal with it. Yeah,
I
you
didn't
couldn't-
like
yeah,
her
you didn't,
talking
but-
that way about you. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. But my first thought, and if you go back and watch it, you'll see like where I paused for a second, and that pause was me thinking, do I tell Brandon to stop? Do I cut this? Let's edit that part.
All right.
Or do we just go with it and see where it goes? I'm so glad that I did. And but yeah, I had asking her that. I don't know what my expectations were, but I didn't expect that answer at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely, that's where if I would have went, nope, that's not what I expected. Let's stop this. And now let me tell you what I expect. One, she would have got up and left, and then it would just been in the lobby with Jimmy and Brandon behind the camera. So it would have been a very long but boring podcast if I'm just up here talking about myself. I can fill an hour. We can go
Right.
2 hours.
Right.
But no, that was one where that definitely was not my expectation. And with that too, there's a lot of control in expectations.
There is.
Because it's like, this is how, in my mind, I have it laid out. This is how it's going to be. And, I mean, have you ever had where you got frustrated because it didn't happen how you expected it to happen? And then you're like, how do I turn this ship around where it starts happening like I expected it to happen or thought of it to happen? And then, maybe not at that moment, you realize how big your control issues are.
Mm-hmm. And
But then-
manipulation.
Yeah.
Manipulation.
And then
goes
how
in
much you
expectation,
manipulate. Yeah.
right, to get there.
And then, like later, God reveals it to you, and you're just like, man, that was
Or
really
how about
messed
if-
up.
Or how about if you have a leader or a pastor, let's just say, that is very controlling, manipulative in their expectations, and they lay it out how they exactly want the team to do it and how it's supposed to look, and then they change it on you last minute,
Yeah.
or they change things without you knowing about it, and then hold you accountable, or maybe you can't get there with what they're describing that they want, and then how they take it out on you. Have you ever been in that place?
Oh yeah,
I've been in that
I've
place.
been
That's
there.
horrible.
I've been there.
Yeah, there's probably, we're both here. We're co-pastors here at Fairlawn Church, but it's very, as a pastor, at least with me, it's very easy to get to that place where you're putting people in that place without realizing it.
Right.
And I think that's where it's such a blessing that God put us together. So there's, we can say, hey, hey Jimmy, do you realize what's going on in this? And then, and vice versa. I think it's really cool, and I say it all the time. I don't know why more churches don't implement the co-pastor thing, because
Right.
I think it's and I know it won't work for everybody, and it's is what it is, and you and I never get in arguments or never have
Never.
disagreements. It's just
Absolutely not.
like a
No.
consistent wave.
Perfect.
Like, yeah,
We are perfect.
So,
At this point in time, I would like to thank our sponsor, Chick-fil-A, for sharing with us some great lunch today. Thank you, Chick-fil-A.
are they really Are we going to expect like a check from them?
No, I just thought I would say that because I'm actually I don't want to hide their cup. I'm just going to throw it back out there.
You know what's very nice about Chick-fil-A though?
What's that?
They're very nice to us because all we do is give them some of our money, and they give us food. It's crazy how they do that. I mean, it's very kind of them to do that. I don't know. There's some places you go and they just take your money. Maybe I'm going to the wrong places. I don't know.
Probably.
Oh, okay. But Chick-fil-A don't do that.
No.
Yeah, they give you food in exchange for money. So, if you guys out there are looking for somebody that will exchange food for money, I'll suggest Chick-fil-A.
So, Proverbs 10:28 says, "The hope of the righteous is joy, and the expectations of the wicked perish." So I'm looking up this word, and I'm looking it up in the Hebrew, and the word for expectation there is tikvah, and it actually means a cord attached to me. So think about that. It's like an idea. It's like something that's fixed to you, that's attached to you. Like if you were to take a cord and attach it to you, it's fixed. It's there. What is it doing? It's going to tie you to that which you fixed it to. So therefore, you're going to become a part of that. And it's the same thing with expectations. You're tied to it. It's fixed. It's a fixed idea. It's how you see things turning out instead of acknowledging God in all your ways, and He will reveal your path or make your path straight, depending on what translation you use. You're going to make your path straight. One of God's names is El Shaddai, right? El Shaddai, is it?
Yeah, there's a song about it.
Right, and it means, to be the one that is all sufficient.
El Shaddai.
Yeah.
El Shaddai. Oh, I thought you were singing.
It means to be, He is the one who's all sufficient. So if that's one of His names, all sufficient, when do we get to come in and be sufficient? When is it our turn to be sufficient? Should we try to be sufficient, or should we acknowledge Him in all our ways and He will reveal what we are to do? Or are we to have expectations and be all sufficient ourselves and forget about His name?
Well, so let's on the other side. So should we just never have expectations? Is that when you sit down and you write out a plan of how things are going to happen? If you're building a house, or if you're, with your personal finances, with just with your kids, like when you lay out, like, hey, these are going to be the rules of the house or whatever. Like, should we not do that? Should we not make plans? Should we not? Should we just live a life with no expectations and just, hey, whatever goes?
Well, I've actually had a lot of people come up and argue with me about that, but the word that I would like, and I'm not talking about semantics, I would like you to replace the word expectation with hope. So the hope of the Lord, that is our anchor. It is in the hope of the Lord. See, that's bringing Him into the equation. It's in that hope of the Lord that all things will work out, that all things will be revealed, that my goals will be met. Hopefully, in Christ Jesus, my goals will be met. My direction and hope in Christ Jesus will change and be revealed to me. See, you're bringing Him in through hope versus my expectations of how. See, it's an implication that it's going to turn out my way, and I'm not allowing God's way to come into the equation and change it. It's my formula, my way, the way I see things, and this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to manipulate, I'm going to control until we get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all seen that happen, whether it's at wherever we work, with supervisors or bosses, and we probably have all are guilty of doing that at
Right.
different times.
Mhm.
People, whether it is our spouse or our kids or our friends or wherever, and just over that, it's just sometimes I know this is something that have just recently, and I know it's like when you kind of don't see like things going on with yourself, and like you could point out like everybody else's faults, but sometimes it takes a little while to see that. And something that happened not long ago where I realized it's like, man, I put expectations that I have on myself on other people a lot of times, and then it's like I just expect them to kind of act how I would act in a situation. And then I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? I wouldn't act like that. I mean, you haven't ever had anybody say anything like that to you.
Never. Never have I had anybody say that to me. Kidding me?
So I think with that, one of this thing that's so great within the lobby, and one of the things that we've talked about, and I think the more we do this, because this is a first. I don't know. I mean, I've never done a podcast before.
Right.
Other than this, and we've talked about doing it, but we've joked around a lot of times and said, man, if we had cameras that just followed us around, dude, this stuff would go viral. Like that would be like, and logistic wise, maybe we'll get there one day. Maybe something similar would happen. But, there's with us being so close and stuff, and with us, two totally, I've said it, we've said it a lot, like you and I really, like with our personalities and just like things that you like to do and things I like to do, we're kind of polar opposites with a lot of that. And that's why it works a lot of times. But there's been times where it's not every time here at the church or just us in general with being friends. It's not like we just sit around just agreeing with each other and, oh yeah, Marty, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think, man, you're a genius. Like we really, we're real with each other, and we say that. And with that, it's times that we get in arguments and times where we've disagreed with things, and with each of those where, we go back and God kind of starts to deal with our hearts and it works out. But I know with that, putting expectations and with all of that, that's caused issues with us. It's caused issues before within my marriage, and with my relationship with my kids and stuff when I've expected that. But when you get two people that come together and I have my expectations, you have your expectations, and a conversation starts or an idea starts, and it's just like neither one's wrong, but it's just we got two different ideas about it. And then we start thinking, well, why did he say that? Why did she say that? And then all of a sudden you're mad at each other, and it's like, both of you guys are just, nobody's in the wrong, but just because the expectations has caused so much friction and so much issues and arguments and stuff. And I'd say there's probably a lot of marriages that are just in limbo or just in bad shape because the husband and wife just constantly put unfair expectations on each other. So how do you get away from that?
Well, I think what you're really describing to me, what it sounds like, is flesh and spirit and conflict between flesh and spirit.
Right.
And, whether there is a vein that goes off and is called expectations, or a vein that goes off and is called this or called that, judgment, or, comparison, or we are competing against one another. Those are just little smaller veins, but it really flows out of whether we're in the flesh or the spirit. Because if I'm in the flesh, I'm out for my own expectation, my own idea, and to see it work. And I just really need you to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And I need you to just say, oh, yeah, that's great, and support me in it and let me run with it. You know what I mean? And let me control and manipulate the whole thing. But then again, if I'm in the spirit, then my heart is to serve you. I'm looking out for you.
Yeah.
if I'm walking in the Spirit. So if you come to me with an idea, I'm there to serve you, and I'm like, yeah, man, it's a great idea. I don't understand what you're talking about fully. I don't have the vision you have behind it, but I trust you, and I know your heart, and I know you'll do a good job. So I don't have to have complete understanding of what you're trying to tell me. It's just, am I in the Spirit at that time? Am I receiving you and loving you where you're at and saying I'm here to serve you, and vice versa? Are you there to serve me? And I think when we're in the Spirit, we flow,
Right.
Together. But then we rub a lot of times when we're in the flesh. It comes down to a little bit of, we compete a little bit. We rub elbows a little bit, and we, idea after idea and thing after thing. So
I think when you're saying all that, I know with me, and as you start getting these ideas and stuff, and when everybody else don't kind of just grab a hold of it and get it, you're like, dude, they don't realize why. Do you not see what God's doing through me here? Aren't you? and you laugh, but man, if I think back about me, especially like in youth ministry in my early 20s, I was very much like that. Like I've told people before, if I now as a pastor hired me as a youth pastor in my 20s, I would have fired myself. Like, I'm like, how did these guys put up with me? Mm-hmm. Because there were times I would do an event, have 100 kids, and then the pastor or associate pastor, somebody would get onto me that Sunday. It's like, we couldn't find the microphone. Why didn't you put the microphone back? And I'm like, do you not just realize I just did an event with 100 kids, and you're worried about a microphone? And dude, I don't know. I wouldn't allow myself to see past that, and I'd get very frustrated. And now that I'm in the role that they were at, I'm like, man, I was a jerk. Like, why did they put up with that? But that was, it's one of those things where, I think sometimes, at least Jimmy Lloyd sometimes, like, I get an idea, whether it's my own idea or from God, but I'm like, just expect everybody to see it and everybody to get it. And it don't happen a lot. Like, I know with me, my mind kind of works different, so most of the time it has to play out for some people to see it. So I think that was a very good point. And I think we see it here with the disciples doing it. Just in my personal devotion time in Luke, there's a time where the disciples couldn't cast a demon out of a guy, and obviously they had, if they were expecting that to happen, they've done it before. I mean, it wasn't too far before this, Jesus sent them out to witness and heal the sick and cast out demons. That's what he told them to do. So here they get there and trying to cast a demon out, won't come out. And I think it was the dad, it was the son, and he went to Jesus and was like, dude, your disciples can't even do it. Can you go pray for them? And Jesus goes and casts the demon out, and the disciples are like, why couldn't we do that? And Jesus said, it's only through fasting. But I found it interesting, something I never I knew the two stories, but I didn't pick up how close together they were. It was not too far after that where the disciple John came to Jesus and said, hey Jesus, there's these other dudes, and they're casting out demons in your name. You want us to go put a stop to that, And Jesus is like, no, they're doing it in my name. But for those disciples, they're like, well, we couldn't do it, and here's these other guys doing it. We got to stop it. There's something wrong. And I think through that expectations too is it raised. A lot of stuff come out of it. And here, looking at that, I mean, I'm thinking the disciples were jealous of these other guys, whoever they were. I don't know who they were, but
7 sons of Sceva, was it?
Yeah.
Was it the 7 sons of Sceva?
7 sons of Sceva?
Yeah, weren't they the ones that went and were casting demons out, and then the demons said, "We don't know you, but we know Paul. We know this person, but we don't know you."
No. That's a different story.
After Jesus.
This is a different story.
Okay.
This is where these guys, they don't say their names, but they were actually going and casting demons out in Jesus' name. Jesus was still walking around.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And obviously, for them to do that, they knew Jesus. I don't think they just like, I heard this guy, let's try it. I mean, Jesus had more disciples and people that followed him than the 12. A lot of times I think we think it was just the 12 and, but he chose the 12 out of a group of people, I mean, he sent people out in groups of 70. I mean, Jesus was pretty popular. I mean, like, people knew who he was. People made a big deal whether they liked him or didn't like him. But here's these other guys. You got Jesus and his 12 here. They couldn't do it. But then here's these other guys out there doing it. And it's like, you want us to go stop them, Jesus? And he's like, no, why would you stop them? They're doing it in my name. It's good. It's about the kingdom. And I think through those expectations, though, came jealousy. And they probably thought, there's probably a little elitism going on there where they're like, we should be the only ones doing this, We're hanging out with the dude, what? And you got other people there, they're doing it, and they're using his name. So I think maybe a little elitism started to come in with that, and Jesus corrected it, and they went on. So,
well, look at it. What amazes me is they call them the sons of thunder when they wanted to call down fire from heaven. Well, look at that, though. The mindset there was they actually could do it. They were very serious.
So that was right after this, actually.
Right. So does that not surprise you? I mean, to think about that they're walking and they ask him for or they basically say, "Hey, we're going to call down fire from heaven and commit genocide on a whole tribe of people."
Yeah.
Okay, eradicate them. And the way we're going to do it, Jesus, is by calling fire down from heaven. Are you okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
So what really, gets me is that they're walking with Jesus and they know they have the ability to call fire down from heaven at this point in their life, and they're walking their ministry with Jesus. And I'm just like, wow, how do you get there? Are we there today?
I think we see it with the disciples. And with that, they went to a village, a Samaritan village, and they wouldn't allow them in. And so the sons of thunder, they were, James and John, they were upset, and they were like, Jesus, you want to call down? Let's blow them all up, they're keeping us out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the disciples, you see what happens a lot of times with us. I think there's probably moments when we're there, but then there's moments where, we all scatter, like the disciples did when they came and arrested Jesus. Like you go through. I mean, we're human, so we go through different emotions and we go through different things. And you catch me at the right moment, I'm ready to call fire down from heaven. Catch me at another moment, I might be ready to throw out a couple curse words and run.
Or catch me at another moment, and my shadow is healing people.
Yeah. Is there a moment that you're doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope to get there one day.
Yeah. Speaking into your future.
Yeah.
See, I see what you're doing there. You do listen to my messages.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I got that from. Yeah, you coined that. That should have been in the Bible.
Yeah, I'm going to copyright it. Yeah, I should have been, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll try to get it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I got some connections. So, yeah, I mean, with that, so in that, is there ever a time, is there ever a good time to have expectations? I know you touched on it a little bit, and you kind of put hope in there at all. So should we just always say, hey, we don't have expectations, but, hey, man, I don't want to put any expectations on you, but I hope you'll do the right thing. I hope you'll do the thing that I would do if I was in your situation. Is that how we should do it?
I think so. I think, again, it's just hard because, I mean, the way that I see expectations and the way that I see hope biblically are two different things. They are definitely two different words describing two different meanings altogether. And are my saying that all expectations are bad? No, I'm not. But I would like to see that we could refrain from using that, and just say my hope is in. To me, it's a big thing because you're bringing, like I said, Jesus into the equation. You're bringing him into this, and expectations are kind of kicking him out of it. It's your trajectory. You know, it's your idea. It's your expectation. I just don't know where I see where Jesus had expectations. I seen where he declared the truth. He spoke the truth. You know, I seen where Paul declared the truth, spoke the truth. He had hope.
Well,
He didn't have expectations. He didn't ride off.
Well, I think with it too, a lot of it has to do with where's your heart, the position of your heart with this, because a lot of times I think we'll nitpick, like using different words and nitpick it apart and stuff like that. I think what's probably important, if you want to use the word expectation or whatever, is not to have it where your expectations of how things are trumps everything. You know, I think we do a good job here at Fairlawn Church with allowing our leaders to lead, and not we don't really have the time to be to be controlling over every little thing, and but with that, you know, we're hoping that our leaders will, you know, pick up the vision of the house and run with it. Not that they got to do everything like us. You know, I don't want them to do everything like us. I don't want everybody to do everything like Jimmy. Like, if that was the case, we would never be on time. Like, everything would just
be scattered in array and
yeah,
messed up,
a bunch of little
unorganized.
projects half done. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So, so I think a lot of with that is just putting our expectations on other people, and then feeling like our expectations have to trump everything, and then that's where the control and the manipulation, like you talked, come in. So
I got here Romans
often.
15:13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. So see, there's an application here of hope gives birth to trust, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Spirit. So you see that? So overflow. So God is saying, I want you to overflow with hope, which brings the power of the Spirit of God upon you.
Right.
And then you have in Hebrews, it says, now faith is confidence in what we hope for. Let's say it again. Now faith is confidence in what we have expectations for? No. It's confidence in what we hope for. That's
Right.
what faith is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, it's bringing God. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but it's just binding God to that situation in your life.
Yeah. And what a difference
And
that
that's
would
what we need.
make in your life if what a different, like, how much relief is that on you personally when you don't have all these expectations on all these people around you?
Oh, it's
and,
freeing.
I mean,
It's so
yeah.
freeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get just caught up in that, and then all of a sudden you're in this like prison of expectations, and you feel like you're in bondage because you're expecting everybody to do it this certain way, and you're kind of like waiting. All right, I'm gonna sit around here, I guess, until Brandon does it how we want him to do it, how he's supposed to be doing it, and then you just it just continues just to build and build and build, and then that resentment comes in and all of that, and it just, man, it's so easy. It just creeps in, you know, so easily without even knowing it.
And the health problems that stress brings, and that, you know, having these expectations assigned to your life. I mean, the health issues, the problems, the fights you get in with other people.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest things that wages war against evil expectations. I call them evil because it's in the flesh. It's you. It's all about you and your empire. It's not about the kingdom of God. It's not a kingdom mindset to have expectations. It's a my empire mindset. One of the things that wars against that is perspective, because you get so many people that you don't value their voice. You don't value their perspective. You don't value the way that they see things on your team. You don't value them in general because it's all about what you see, your expectation. You're the one-man band, and this is how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you are actually discrediting people on your team, and you wonder why you're in constant argument. Your turnover rate is through the roof. You're constantly hiring employees and people. You're wondering why this is all going south all the time, and then you get to a place where it's everybody else's fault. I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I've went through so many people that it's obviously not me. It's them.
We just don't only see that with employees. You see, there's people just with friendships and relationships in general.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, what happened to so? Oh, we're not friends anymore.
Are you kidding me? I mean, like I said, one of the biggest enemies of expectations is perspective. Someone who has high expectations on the way something should look, he or she does not want to hear your perspective. They discredit it. You are devalued at that point in time. You're castrated.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are getting close to that time, and I do want to say this. So we have been getting people watching this and stuff, and when we first started, people would throw up different ideas and things like that of what they want us to talk about. Listen, guys, we want to hear your ideas. We want, us coming up with different things to talk about. You throw something that you want us to talk about, and we'll put it on the list. And there's a good chance, hey, maybe next week that's what we're going to talk about. And if you did recommend something and we haven't done it yet, there's a good chance we forgot. So you need to remind us, because that does happen. I would say sometimes, but it happens a lot. With that, and then if you have questions, please do not feel like you cannot ask questions. We love that. We go on there and read the comments and stuff personally. We'll answer the questions. We may answer it right then, or maybe we'll answer at the beginning of the next in the lobby. But if you have questions that you would like for us to answer, or any questions for us whatsoever, we're not going to run from them. We'll answer them. We'll talk about it, and maybe even make a whole podcast, in the lobby about it. So please, feel free to do that. And then also, if you don't want to throw it in the comment section, it's like, I don't want everybody to read what I have to say. We get it. You can email us personally. Brandon's going to throw our email addresses down at the bottom, and you can read them right there, jimmy.fairlawnchurch@gmail.com, mark.fairlawnchurch@gmail.com. Email us, and, hey, let us know what you think. So.
Absolutely. Give us some of the hard questions. Try to think outside the box. Think about questions that you would not normally hear asked on a Sunday morning. That's what this podcast is about. Give us just the bare, crude, rude questions, or any kind of theological questions you might have.
Or even not theological. If you've got
marriage,
about
relationship, it don't matter. We can go in any direction you want. That's why we're here to do that and talk about that.
Yeah, even if they have questions about the Free Britney movement, they could ask us. We'll answer them.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
It's Britney Spears, dude.
Oh, Britney Spears movement.
Britney. There's a
Free
documentary.
Britney?
Yeah, Free Britney.
Free Britney.
Free Britney movement, yeah.
It's awesome.
Cancel culture movement.
Cancel
We can talk about
culture.
that.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk about anything. Pornography.
Yeah.
Talk about pornography.
Yep.
And just anything that would, help answer some questions for you guys. Or, you know what? We can talk about evolution. We can talk about creationism. We can talk about whatever it might be.
Talk about how the first part of the season, the Mets were in first place, and now they can't win a game. Talk about that. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of stuff to say about that.
Yeah, I'll sleep right through that podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or we could talk about the upcoming football season with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Another one I'll get some good sleep through.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us in the lobby. We love you guys. And, hey, join us this Sunday. It's only in a couple days. Join us this Sunday, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be speaking this time, so I know you guys got a lot of sleep last Sunday with Pastor Mark speaking, so you should be rested up.
Yep. He only says join us this Sunday when he's going to be speaking, so then you guys really know after he says that, it's the following Sunday you really want to participate in. That's when I'm going to be there. So anyway.
All right, guys. We love y'all. See you guys later.
Bye.